The first batch of patients are being transferred to Huashengshan or Fire Guard Mountain Hospital, which was delivered on Sunday after a 10-day construction. The hospital is one of the two makeshift hospitals dedicated to treating patients infected with the virus. All the medics working at Huashengshan Hospital have undergone training and qualification assessments. In addition, the hospital has deployed more than 10 infectious disease, respiratory and intensive care experts to provide guidance on the handling of complex cases. Wuhan also plans to convert 3 existing venues, including a gymnasium and an exhibition center, into temporary hospitals to receive patients infected with the virus. China's National Health Commission says the government has provided sufficient finance and policy supports to the fight against the novel coronavirus. Deputy Director Li Bin says the government has enacted clear policies on offering subsidies to patients for their treatments.
Besides the reimbursements from basic healthcare insurance, critical illness insurance and other medical assistance, patients diagnosed with the new virus can also enjoy subsidies from the central and local governments.
China's foreign ministry is criticizing the United States for creating and spreading fear of a coronavirus epidemic. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying says the U.S. has acted to create and spread fear following the coronavirus outbreak in China instead of offering any significant assistance. The United States was the first nation to suggest partial withdrawal of its embassy staff and the first to impose a travel ban on Chinese travelers. Hua says the move to prevent people from entering borders is unreasonable, adding that China hopes countries will make judgments and responses that are reasonable, calm, and based on science. The World Bank says that the Chinese authorities have policy space to respond to the novel coronavirus outbreak. In a statement, the organization says the Chinese authorities have announced a sizable injection of liquidity, which should help mitigate the costs to economic growth. The World Bank supports China's efforts to respond, including its efforts to maintain resilience in its economy. The International Monetary Fund also expresses its support for China's efforts to tackle the outbreak and says it is confident that China's economy remains resilient. Members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation say they reject the United States Middle East peace plan, even though they support President Donald Trump's efforts at resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud says efforts promoting peace must ensure that the Palestinian people's rights are met. The White House's peace plan, revealed last week, proposed an independent Palestinian state whose territories are connected through roads, bridges and tunnels. Australia's Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack has survived a challenge to his leadership, re-elected to lead the National Party, defeating former leader Barnaby Joyce. Together with the Liberal Party, the Nationals formed a coalition. When in government, the leader of the party serves as Deputy Prime Minister, while the leader of the Liberals, currently Scott Morrison, is Prime Minister. Joyce previously led the Nationals between 2016 and 2018 when he stood down amidst the breakdown of his marriage. He announced his intention to challenge McCormack on Monday. That's the news. I'm Ning Yan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable, coming to you live from Beijing. Roundtable.
Roundtable. Connecting China and the world.
We bring you fun and timely discussions about what's affecting our lives everywhere, every day.
Tune in to Roundtable, where the East meets the West, and understanding is the goal.
Insightful analysis, bold comments, friendly debates. Find all that and more on Roundtable, where passion meets in-depth discussion and covers the hottest topics in China.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Roundtable, coming to you live from Beijing. And you've got me here. I'm He Yang, joined by Lai Ming.
Hello.
Hi, it's just you and I today.
Same old people on the show.
Well, it's you and I sharing this spacious round table today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we've got something good to share with everybody.
Of course.
Hopefully. Good as always to have you, our dear listeners, with us. We have some fascinating topics for discussion today and every day. On today's program, charity donation is pouring in to fight the novel coronavirus outbreak. How can we make the best use of the donation money? And in the U.S., restaurants are struggling to find a cost-effective formula to meet the growing demand for delivery of online food orders. What is the solution? Well, bear with us and you might find out. You can find us on Apple Podcast at Roundtable China. Subscribe, rate, and review us. You can also send us a voice question to ezfmroundtable@foxmail.com, as we have a special segment devoted to answering your voice questions on the live show. But first, on today's Roundtable. According to China's National Health Commission, a total of 20,438 cases of novel coronavirus were confirmed on the Chinese mainland as of Monday, with 425 deaths. The well-being of those who are affected by the coronavirus patients are definitely on our minds. And we've seen news coming in about a new hospital that's only took 10 days to build.
Right, the Foshan Hospital.
And being able to admit patients today is up and running.
Yeah, another hospital, makeshift hospital, Leishanshan Hospital, is scheduled to put into practice on tomorrow, on Wednesday.
So, yes, you see that this is, just two of the examples of how government efforts and have been going into fighting the virus. And along with that, civilians, companies, and charity foundations have all been mobilizing their resources to make contributions to the fight against the epidemic. So, Lai Ming, what is your observation so far?
Well, my observation is, I think a few days before we celebrated the traditional Chinese Spring Festival, all eyes were starting to turn to Wuhan, the region and the city that's most hit by the epidemic outbreak. And as we were watching the city, we saw many hospitals there were putting out notices online or through various channels calling for all kinds of resources, mostly masks and protective suits. I mean, apparently a lot of these hospitals are running short of these essential but very, very important equipment. So I think to answer their demand and also answer their call, a lot of organizations, companies, and individuals have mobilized their own resources to donate whatever they can to the region. And as a result, we see a lot of resources pouring their way. And I think one of the influential story that we heard is the organization department of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. They have allocated 108 million yuan, or about $15.57 million to prevent and control the novel coronavirus epidemic. The money was directed from CPC membership dues to help frontline medical personnel as well as grassroots level party members. Primary level party organizations will receive financial aid to purchase medicine and resources for epidemic prevention and control, adding that the infected party members and individuals who are in difficulty would also receive subsidies. And
that's really interesting, as we do see that definitely from different kind of organizations in society have been doing whatever they can or we can to participate, to help out, because when you're at home and you're reading the news from your smartphone or watching TV for an update, and then we're all in this together, and it's only natural out of humanity, as it feels, that you want to do something to help.
Right.
And we see that also this year kind of interesting, as sometimes we do compare this coronavirus outbreak with what happened 17 years ago with SARS. And one new thing I realized is recently there has been a lot of reports about like tech companies, as a lot of these tech giants have managed to do their part, serve their call, and I guess 17 years ago, they didn't exist, and we didn't see that they become also a strong party taking part in all of this.
Well, a lot of these companies, they existed during the outbreak of SARS 17 years ago. It's only that they were too small to be of significant help to the society. But, well, like you said earlier, yes, a lot of these tech giants, they've grown to be huge players in their own business and actually also in the people's ordinary lives, and therefore they command huge amount of resources. For instance, Alibaba, Jack Ma, founder of e-commerce giant Alibaba, has donated 100 million yuan through his charitable foundation to help find a vaccine for the novel coronavirus. The billionaire has earmarked 40 million yuan for the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Chinese Academy of Engineering, and the remainder of the funds will be used to support prevention and treatment measures. And Alibaba will offer free artificial intelligence computing power to scientific research organizations to support the research for vaccine and drugs. The donation follows an announcement on Sunday by Alibaba that it has set up a special fund of 1 billion yuan for medical supplies. The fund will be used to purchase medical equipment and medicine from home and abroad and deliver to Wuhan, Hubei province, where the outbreak is most severe. And the company will continue to coordinate with plans in 58 regions in the country to resume the production of medical supplies. The first batch of 3.3 million masks will be sent to Wuhan through 3 green passages. I think Alibaba is, compared to most of the IT companies, have a competitive edge in coordinating resources, in the sense that many years ago they already set up a Cainiao network, a kind of a platform that coordinates resources among almost all delivery service companies here in this country, except for SF Express. I think they're pretty cool in working by themselves as well. But anyway, my point is, yes, all resources are being coordinated to help as much as they can the region that's being most hit. Meanwhile, the Tencent Charity Foundation announced a donation of 300 million yuan to set up the first phase of a new pneumonia prevention and control fund. The donation will be mainly used for frontline prevention of the disease in Wuhan and other places, including the purchase of materials such as masks, disinfectants, goggles, and help for frontline medical staff.
Yes, and we have seen that it's almost like these companies are competing with each other in a way,
right,
alongside from doing business daily, but also beefing up efforts to support against the new coronavirus outbreak. And Baidu's also donated a lot of money, and also talking about setting up a special fund of 3 million yuan for disease prevention and public health security, and also like home appliance giant TCLs donated 10 million yuan and offered LCD display equipment, air conditioners, washing machines, refrigerators to the 2 makeshift hospitals in Wuhan, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
So I think what's really interesting here about how the companies are taking part in all of this is there's this discussion about efficiency, especially with what you mentioned earlier on, Lai Ming, with Alibaba's Cainiao network, which has got all this data in figuring out what is the most efficient way and fastest way to coordinate, to make the logistics work really well,
right,
which is essential, because nowadays it's almost like people are willing to donate, and there is a certain amount, quite a big amount of funding that is sitting in certain accounts, and maybe there are supplies sitting in certain warehouses, but how do you bring this necessary material and equipment, or is it funding, bring it to the necessary parties that are in need? And actually that takes a lot of figuring out, as it seems.
Yeah, a lot of figuring out, especially I think that's sort of beyond the capacity of organizations that previously wasn't unnecessarily involved in this, because to build a network as powerful as China network, it requires a lot of preparation, a lot of foundation to be laid even before this. So this really inspires us to look at this issue, how resources should be allocated, in the sense that should we have professional people in this, because really when we have people unfamiliar with this amount of work, the stuffs are going to be backed up at the warehouses or at the accounts, and that's a huge waste of time and resources.
Mm-hmm. And also we saw that a lot of donation came from Hong Kong companies too?
Yeah.